Welcome to another edition of For the Health of It. I'm your host, Corian K. Paget, and today I have with me a Jackson native, Chris Dunbar. Chris, go ahead and introduce yourself.
How you doing, man? Thank you, man. Thank you for the opportunity, man. Like you said, this is Christopher. I like to be known as Chris, but Chris Dunbar. Went to Jim Hill High School. Go Tigers.
Tigers. That's where I currently coach at, for those of you that don't know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. We green and gold through and through right here.
Yes,
sir. So, yeah, definitely.
In fact, let me talk about how me and Chris actually met each other, man. I was coaching PE 2018-19 school year, and Chris comes back to town to visit, and he walks into the gym, and me, Coach Lewis, Coach Ross, we all do the customary wave, and then I think it might have been Dr. Domino or Antonio Johnson walked you over and introduced you, and we just went from there. And you told us you were a bodybuilder and all this, and you got recruited out of Jim Hill to play for ball. So I was like, well, shit, man, I got your number and your Instagram, and we stayed in touch ever since. So, Chris,
absolutely.
Let's go into you getting recruited out of Jim Hill and leaving Jim Hill.
Man, that was back in '94, man, '95. I was kind of doing I was doing my thing in football. Okay. And I played inside linebacker for Jim Hill, and things just took off for me. I literally dedicated myself into my craft. Everybody kept telling me, putting in my ear that, hey, you good. So I kind of like pretty much let that went to my head, and I just said, okay, if I'm good, let me try to make myself better.
Right.
So with the tools that we had there at that time, which wasn't much, I said, I'm just gonna put my all into this, and I put my all into it, and then all of a sudden, schools, colleges started coming my junior year and started coming to the school and pulling me out of classes just to talk to me.
Right.
Then I started getting letters and stuff from all these different colleges, and then I was showing my mom. I was like, Mom, I can go to college for free.
Right.
So this is unheard of. Nobody went to college in my family. So
right.
And I was like, okay, this could possibly happen. And so then my senior year came, and I had this amazing senior year, individually.
Mm-hmm.
So now I started narrowing it down. I took a couple of visits to colleges, and then but I narrowed it down to two schools, either University of Oklahoma or LSU.
Okay.
And I chose Louisiana State University after I made the visit there, and it was just more of a fit. It wasn't too far from home. My mom and my grandmother could come watch me play. So I felt like LSU was a great fit. And during that time, people don't know, Nick Saban was the coach then.
Okay.
So Nick Saban recruited me.
Okay.
Yeah. That was my coach.
That's what's up right there, man. That's what's up. So let me ask you this. You did all 4 years at LSU, or did you leave early?
I did all 4 years due to I got injured my junior year, and I got injured my sophomore year, and then I got re-injured again my junior year. So I just went ahead and got my degree.
Okay.
And I graduated and got my bachelor's in kinesiology, and tried to figure out what was next for me.
Okay. So what was next for you after LSU?
What was next for me after LSU, when I left LSU, and I said, it was either go back to Jackson and do what? Anybody from Jackson know exactly what I'm talking about. And I got a bachelor's in kinesiology, and I go back to Jackson and do what with that? So it's nothing there. So I figured my best bet, and I talked to my family members, my best bet at that time was to join the military.
Okay.
So I joined the military. I joined the Navy. Go Navy. So I joined the Navy, and best decision I ever made for myself.
Okay.
Best decision once I joined the Navy. Then I was finished at boot camp at Great Lakes. So I went in went to Great Lakes, and then because I had a bachelor's, I had a degree. Mm-hmm. Of course, I became a commissioned officer. Once I finished boot camp, I had to go down to OCS, which was in Georgia.
Right.
Went down to OCS, it was in Georgia, and then after that, I got orders to San Diego, California.
Okay.
And that was the first time I ever came to California. First time ever.
Oh wow.
And then I traveled the world after that. I did San Diego for 4 years. After that, I went to Germany for 2 years. And then after Germany, I went to Naples, Italy for a few years. And then after Naples, I went to Phsique, Greece. I was there for a couple of years. I mean, because people don't understand, once you're in the military, you gotta understand your longest term.
4 years at the longest.
It's 4 at the longest. But I was doing 2 years. So every 2 years, I was moving.
Right. Were you single and no kids at this time?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, like you said, 2 years, man. I mean, I didn't grow up in the military. My dad was in the military, but my parents were divorced. But I grew up right outside of Keesler, down on the coast, Air Force Base, man. So I know that constant rotation, man. Hey, 2 to 3 years, you're gone. And I hated it for the kids, man, that would get there. Like
I didn't do that to myself. Yeah,
sophomore year.
Yeah.
And they'll be gone. They senior year. Oh my goodness, that was horrible.
Yes, sir. I didn't want to do that to no child or to no lady.
Right.
You know, I didn't want to be married. I didn't want to. I was like, oh no, I'm definitely not, because there was no reason to be married. Everywhere you went, it was those pleasures was there. You understand what I'm saying? So it was no reason. I always took care of myself. I don't drink and don't smoke, so I always took care of my body and took care of myself. So even after football,
right.
Even though I wasn't being an athlete no more, but I still treated myself like an athlete.
Right.
So yeah, I was going. And then once I finished with Phsique, Greece. And let me say this: just because you're in those areas in Germany, when I was in Germany, but if you got a long weekend, say for instance, you got a long weekend, 4 or 5 day weekend, because we had those a lot.
Right.
When I was in the military, we had a long weekend, and if I had a 4-day weekend, I would go to another island, go to Spain.
Right.
Go to Wales, or go to, like I would just go. I mean, I could just take a hop, because everything is so close over there. It's so close.
Yeah, it is pretty close, man. I did 2 weeks over there.
So you just bounce around. If I'm in Italy, and I'd be like, I want to go to, Wales or whatever. I just hop in and go to Wales. I love Wales. That's why I keep bringing it up.
Okay.
I love Wales. People don't know about this little place in Europe called Wales. Oh my God. We'll talk about that offline, though. But yeah, that's a beautiful place.
Good
man,
call. Good call.
Yes, sir.
So let me ask you this, man. How after you get out the military, what year did you get out?
I retired in 2015.
Okay.
Yeah, I retired in 2015.
So did you go back to California after you retired?
Yes, because I finished in Japan. I was finished up my little tour in Japan, and I was there for a long time, almost 10 years. Okay. And once I finished in Japan, I said, you know what, I'm going to go back to the country. Because I was over there for so long in Japan. I even learned how to speak Japanese, so I speak Japanese fluently.
Okay.
So, and then I came back here. Once I came back here, I went to Seattle first, Washington. Right. Then I left Washington and finished the rest of my military duties, and then I came down to Orange County, California. That's when I moved back. I moved back to Orange County.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So
it was either 2 choices. I'm sorry, I didn't cut you off. It was either 2 choices. I was either going to go to California or I was going to go to Florida. I never had Mississippi on.
I completely understand that. I completely understand that.
Yes, sir.
But I don't know if I mentioned this. You do have multiple sclerosis.
Yes.
So what year were you diagnosed?
I was actually, it's so weird. I finished with the military and in March of 2015.
Right.
I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in November the 2nd of 2015.
Okay.
It's crazy.
Right. So let me ask you this: leading up to your diagnosis, how were you feeling?
I mean, I started when I came back to California, and I was getting acclimated, getting myself back going. I ended up doing a competition. I did a competition when I got back here.
Oh, so you were already into bodybuilding?
Was already.
Okay.
Sorry, let me rewind. I started. People don't know, but I started competing in Japan in 2007. I did my first show in Japan in 2007.
Got you.
That's when I started bodybuilding.
Okay.
Yes, in Japan.
All right.
I got introduced to bodybuilding in Japan.
Well, let's stay there for a little bit. What introduced you to it?
A friend of mine, man, good friend of mine. His name was Chris as well.
Okay.
And like I said, I was always in shape.
Right.
I always treated myself like an athlete. In the military, I used to get up in the morning, go run 10 miles.
Right.
Like it was nothing. So I run 10 miles, and then go to the gym, work out. So I was in shape. Mm-hmm. Just pretty much, you know how guys are. Right. I was upper body in shape, not lower body. So I had no legs. Mm-hmm. I was just all upper body, right, and my legs were skinny. So that was the thing. So I looked like how you say an ice cream cone. You know what I'm saying? Big upper body, lower body was just gone. Mm-hmm. So because of all the running I was doing. So anyway, one day I was in the gym and I was training, and I had just finished working out, and this white guy came up to me, and we just started talking or whatever. I said, "You in good shape?" You know. I was in good shape because of all the cardio I did. I barely lift weights that much. Right. And so we just started talking or whatever. And I seen this white guy. He was jacked. I mean, he was jacked up to be a white guy. He was jacked. And I was like, man, what you do? And at the time, he was the athletic director of the whole at base. Okay. And at the base, the base I was at was called Phsique. Phsique, it was at Phsique Naval Air Force Base. Okay. It was a naval air station. Right. It was in Phsique. Phsique in Japan is in central Japan. Okay. So if you're looking on the map, it's in central Japan. It's in the Kanagawa prefix. So I was there, and I was stationed there. I was a supply officer there, and I was a supply officer, so they used to call me Suppo. So he walks up to me, like I said, he was jacked. I mean, he was built, and I was like, "What, man? What you do?" He was like, "Oh, I'm the athletic director here at the base, and I'm also a trainer, or whatever." I was like, "Man, I would love to work out with you," because he was so jacked, and he was like, "You sure you want to do that?" Like he was calling me out. And I was like, "Yeah, I want to do that. Man, I can hang with you." You know what I'm saying? Thinking I could hang with him. He said, "Well, if you work out with me, you got to train legs." Because he automatically saw my legs. He knew how to train legs because they were so skinny. I was like, "Okay, I'll train legs." Man. So I say about 3 days later, we got together. Finally set up a date to go. I go and I work out with him. And it was leg day for him. Right. So the first exercise I ever did with him was legs. Mm-hmm. When I say he killed me, he destroyed my legs. Wow. I ended up throwing up during the workout. Right. And he was like, "If you quit, you could never work out with me again." Right. So he was like, "Okay, so go." He told me go get a towel, wipe that throw up, and we're going to continue to go. Okay. So I mean, a lot of people would have gave up on it, but because of my mentality and where I'm from, we don't quit. There's no quitting us. So I was like, okay, if I want to work out with this guy, and plus, I had my little, I'm not gonna let this white guy beat type of attitude. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah, but he broke me down, man. He broke me down, and after that, we became friends, man. After that, and then one day, maybe 6 or 7 months later, he started getting ready for his competition. Okay. And I was like, what competition you getting ready for? And he was like, I'm getting ready to compete. And I said, compete in what? He's like, oh, I'm a bodybuilder. I said, well, man, I've been training with you for all this time.
6 months, you never said nothing.
He said nothing. Just all of a sudden he started dieting and stuff. Man, so I watched his body change. Right in front of me. I was training. I watched him eat. I was watching him. And then he went to the show. We went to the show. And I actually, of course I went with him. And I went to the show with him. And he dominated everybody, ended up winning the whole show. And this show was held at Yamato. This is in a place called Yamato, Japan.
Okay.
So we had to drive. It wasn't too far, but we drove because I had Japanese driver's license, so I could drive in Japan. So I drove, and I went to show my support because he was my trainer, my friend, of course.
Right.
And watched him compete. So that was my first bodybuilding competition that I ever saw. That was in 2006.
Okay.
So I'm looking at all these guys on stage, and I'm like,
so
I can do this. I can do this.
What's the racial makeup at this point of these guys? Because you're in Japan, but you're on but you're at this point you're not on the naval base. You had to drive somewhere else.
Right.
So the makeup of these guys racially, what were they? Because he was white.
They was all over the world.
Okay.
They had people from New Zealand. It was an international bodybuilding show.
Okay.
So it was international. So anybody internationally could compete at this show. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they had people from all over the world at this show.
Okay.
I mean, Africans, all different, different race people. So it was great to see all these people.
Okay.
And it was even some Americans there because we had some.
Right. Because
some military personnel could be in the show too.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So I'm watching this show, and and then I found out it's 2 shows in one day.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to a bodybuilding competition, it's 2 shows in one day. They have the morning show,
mm-hmm.
and they have the evening show. The morning show is the pre-judging. That's when they actually judge you.
Okay.
So you gotta look your best that show.
Gotcha.
That's the best. You gotta look your best. The evening show is for the audience. That's when they come back and do their routine. That's why you see in bodybuilding on stage dancing to a song or posing to a song or whatever. That's the evening show.
Gotcha.
So I'm watching this now, and I was in awe. And then when my friend won, Chris,
mm-hmm.
when he won, I was really in awe. And I was like, bro, you gotta put me on. You gotta put me on. And he's like, well, first you need to get bigger. You gotta get bigger. You gotta cut out all this running, because I was still running. And he was like, you gotta cut out all this running. You gotta I said, man, I'll do whatever you ask me. Whatever you ask me to do, I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, we on. So I trained for that show from the time he went. I started training for that show. We went to the show. So it took me. Then the show was annually now.
Right.
So the next time I was going to compete was the following year,
right.
which was in 2007.
Right.
So I trained for that show for a whole year. That's how serious bodybuilding is.
Right.
You got to build your foundation from the ground up. We had to build my legs. I had little legs. We had to build my legs up. We had to do everything. And I ended up building my legs and building my frame. And I came back the following year, which is the annual, because it's an annual show.
Mm-hmm.
Once a year, they have it once a year. And I came back the following year. He did not compete. He just trained me.
Okay.
So when I came back the following year, I won that show.
Okay.
The following year, my very first show I won. Lit the fire after that.
Wow.
Lit the fire.
Wow.
Now I'm competing again. First I competed as football. Now I'm competing as a body, and it was so fun. It was a great experience. I was able to compete. It was great. And then I was like, man, I want to do another one. And then I was just doing shows left and right. I was doing shows all over the world. I was figuring out what show was going to happen. I was flying from Japan to Germany.
Right.
I was flying from Japan to the States. I was just competing, and I was just lit. So, I have a lot of trophies and a lot of accolades and stuff. So from 2005 to 2015, I was on, man. I was on.
Okay.
And my career took off in that, making money and being sponsored and stuff. And then all of a sudden, boom, off the scrolls of that.
Right. So.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
So it's 2015 now. You got out in March, and now you're back in the States, and you get diagnosed in November. So I want you to chat me up, Chris, about how you were feeling, let's say July through August, or July, August, September. How were you feeling? What's your body looking like at this point?
I mean, my body, I was in shape because I had just did a show, a few months before that.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I was sitting at my desk one day. This is how it started. I was sitting at my desk on my computer, just doing a little work or whatever. And then all of a sudden, boom, I had this out of body experience.
Mm-hmm.
It was something I never felt in my life, where my rights would kind of lock up on me a little.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And it was like, and then my vision would get blurry, and I was like, and it just hit me for a few seconds, just a few seconds, you know? And I was like, wow, what was that? You know, I was like, what was that? You know, I didn't know what it was, so it went away. And I was like, okay, it went away, so, okay, I guess we're not going to worry about that. So I continued to go on doing what I'm doing. Then I would have those little out of body experiences. I was calling them at that time.
Right.
I would have those like every now and then, you know, as the months pass. You know, so then here we are, a month or so go by, and I'm driving.
Ooh,
driving in the morning, driving on a highway here in California. I'm driving on a major highway, and then I have another one, and this one was a little bit stronger. Well, my whole right side locks up. Now I'm right-handed.
Right.
I drive with my, so my right foot. This was my whole right side of my body. So my right foot will lock up, and I can't mash on the accelerator. So I had to take my foot off the accelerator and just let it pass. Now I'm on the highway.
Right.
I'm on a major highway while this was happening. I could have had a wreck, whatever. I don't know how I was able to control the steering wheel with my left hand, have this episode, and still drive at the same time. I don't know how I did it, but I ended up pulling over on the side of the median. I did not have a wreck. I didn't hit nobody's car. Amazing. I guess God was with me right there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. How old were you?
I mean, this was, what?
15.
This 2015, so I am 44 now, so 5 years from now, so I was
38, 39.
38, 39 right then, yeah, so I'm like, okay, so I said, okay, what was that? So then I said, you know what, because it was so bad, I said, let me go to the doctor.
Right.
And let me get myself checked on, because I'm a veteran. I go to the VA.
Right.
So because it's free for me. So I go into the VA and I explain to them what my symptoms was. I go to the ER at the time at the VA, and I'm saying I'm having this problem, and I was saying my heart. As soon as I said my heart, boom, they immediately took me back to the back room.
Right.
They did every test on me known to man, EKG, EG, MRI. They did every test that you could think of. They did on me, and I'm just waiting at the hospital. You know what I'm saying? And then at that time, my MRI came back. Everything came back good. Every test except for my MRI. When my MRI came back, they saw these spots on my brain. Because that's what MS attacks. It attacks your brain. It attacks your neural receptors.
Right.
So it attacked my brain, and they had spots on my brain, and they was like, "What are these spots on your brain?" And they was like, "Okay, we got to figure out what's going on in your brain that's making your body does this. Is something going on?" I said, "Okay, well let's figure it out." So here I am now. I'm in the hospital for a week, man. So you know I'm mad. Eating this hospital food, I'm mad. I'm like, okay, have y'all figured it out yet?
Right.
They still ain't figured it out. So I said, okay, how about y'all go ahead and release me and give me a call when y'all figure this out?
Right.
Then they went and got the doctor. The doctor was like, well, we haven't figured out this, because they took it serious. I didn't take it serious. I was like, I can't just be sitting in this hospital. I've been in the hospital now for over a week, man.
Right.
I was like, y'all ain't figured it out yet. That's y'all job to figure it out. They was like, well, it's just gotta do more tests and all this. I was like, y'all done did every test on me every day. You know, nobody can tell me what's wrong with me. You know. So I said, well, you just gotta release me. I said, I'm not in jail, so you're gonna have to release me. So he was like, well, you're gonna have to sign a release form saying that you'd be released without the doctor's consent.
Right.
I was like, well, go ahead and get that up. Go ahead and get that up. Let's get up out of here. You know me, I'm a tough guy. I'm trying to be tough, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm a tough guy. I'm straight. Nothing's going on. Y'all can't figure it out, so I'm good. Whatever. So that happened. Then I would say maybe a month later. Maybe a month. 3 weeks to a month. My vision went off.
Wow.
I mean, man, if I was looking at you, what are those lizards? You know those lizards that the eye can go different ways and stuff like that? What are those lizards called? What are they called?
Not geckos.
Are they geckos? I don't know.
I know what you're talking
when you look at their eyeballs look like little balls, and they can roll them. Right. They can roll them in that. Yeah. That's what my eyes was doing.
Wow, that's crazy.
So if I looked at you, I saw you up here, down here. It was crazy. It was crazy. That's the best way I can describe this. This is what I was going on with you right at that time.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay, this is serious. I gotta go back to the doctor. So hear me, tough guy again. You know what I'm saying? I'm a tough guy, man. So I put one hand over my eye and drove back to the VA. That's how I got to the VA. I was stupid. Like, I was dumb, man. You know what I'm saying? Right. Instead of asking somebody to take me to the hospital, I put one hand over my eye and cover my eye and drove. Yeah. Man, if anybody hear this, please don't do what I do. Please don't. I mean, I was gone. So I get to the hospital. I go back to the same. Because my problem was neuro, so I had to go to my neurologist that did the MRI. Was helping me out at first.
Right.
And it was a female. Of course, she was a female. She was an Asian lady. I forgot her name. And so I explained to her, this is what's going on with me now.
Right.
And she was like, she was like, I'm looking at your MRI and I'm seeing this stuff again. She said, I think you might got MS.
Right.
I'm like, what is MS? She said, multiple sclerosis. I said, well, okay. Well, I don't even know what that is. She said, you know what I'm gonna do? So I can get so I can get an accuracy on this. I am going to schedule you another MRI right now, and we're gonna do a spinal tap tomorrow morning. So we did the MRI. With the MRI, they do imaging, so then boom, tests come right back.
Right.
So now when she's comparing the first MRI I did to this one, I had more spots on my brain than I did the first time.
Wow.
Because I'm not treating it, so now it's going in, man.
Right.
It's going in. Right. Yeah. So you're not going to treat it. You're not going to do nothing about it. So now here we go. Here we go.
Hold on.
Now we're finna really.
Let me get a good chance to get everybody a learning thing. MS is a disease in which the immune system eats away at the protective covering of the nerves. Which those protective coverings are called myelin sheaths, and MS is an autoimmune disease, and the body is attacking itself. In MS, resulting nerve damage disrupts communication between the brain and the body. Multiple sclerosis causes many different symptoms, including vision loss, pain, fatigue, and impaired coordination. And you said you were experiencing all of that, so I can see. But go ahead, Chris, with where you were.
Yeah, that was a great description, man. I mean, so because like I said, it eats away at your immune system, and that's what it was doing. Because I wasn't treated.
Right.
So that's why I started off with one thing, and now my vision. So now it was going. Right. It was like, okay, you're not going to treat us. Now here we go. So now it's just eating. It was eating my body away from the inside out. You know what I'm saying? So okay. So now I'm back here. So now she found out that those spots on my brain was called lesions.
Right.
They wasn't spots. We found they was calling them spots. They're lesions. So when they was comparing them, I had more lesions on my brain now than I did the first time because, like you said, it was attacking.
Right.
It was attacking, mind. It was attacking. So now it's like, okay, this is something kind of serious. My vision's off. I'm uncoordinated. I'm just totally off, man. So then the next morning, around about say 8:30 in the morning, I did a spinal tap. And for those spinal tap is where they gotta take this long needle, put it in your spine,
right,
and pull fluid from your spine, because your spinal cord has a sac around it. It has a sac, a little sac around it that holds fluid, and that holds your spine together. So they wanted to pull fluid from my spine to see exactly where it is, what is going on with me, and they wanted to test the fluid to see if it would pop positive for multiple sclerosis.
right.
So they did it. They did the spinal tap early that morning, and then they released me, let me go. They let me go. They said once the tests come back, then we will figure out, what was going on, what's going on with your body, whatever. Once we get the test back. But the test didn't come back right then. The test maybe came back she said, well, give us a few days, we'll have the test back. So I did the spinal tap that morning. By that night, man, I was in the ER.
Wow.
Again. But now it was serious. It was serious. So whatever that spinal tap did, it triggered it, man.
Right.
It intensified everything. By them pulling that fluid from my spine, it intensified everything. I remember waking up in the ER, and then I kept having these seizures. I was blacking out, man. I was having seizures.
Right.
I was having seizures over and over and over and over and over. And it was just so painful. I remember being up talking to somebody, and then all of a sudden I could feel my body start shaking, and then boom, I'll black out. I was gone.
Dang.
I was gone. Hey. So now here I am. Then when I finally got my results from the spinal tap, and that's when I was diagnosed, March the 2nd of 2015. You see what I'm saying? You see how the time, so you just not, once you go to, you get tested for any type of autoimmune disease, you just don't get an automatic, an automatic, what they call it, diagnosis. You don't. It takes time. It takes time. So it took time for them to get that information. So here it is, that almost all of November gone, and now boom, I finally popped positive for multiple sclerosis.
Right.
Okay, so now they know exactly what I have. Now they know how to treat it. But by then, my MS is on 10, man.
Right.
I'm having seizures. I cannot walk. I can't walk. My vision is gone, pretty much almost gone. It wasn't gone. I could see, but everything was 2 times.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I could barely speak. You know what I'm saying? So, it was bad for me, man. It was bad. And now from that time, I ended up spending 8 months in the hospital.
Wow.
A lot of people don't know that. I was in the hospital for 8 months. After November the 2nd, 8 months later, I was in the hospital.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. I was just because I couldn't walk.
Right.
Couldn't move. I couldn't go use the restroom. I had a catheter in my thing. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't get up to use the restroom. I had to get people to bathe me. And I was done. It took over my body.
Dang, that's crazy.
And I'm like, how could this be? Here I am, professional bodybuilder now. All these years in the military, football player. Now I can't move.
Right.
And I'm 39 years old, man.
Right.
I'm still young, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, is this it? Like this is it? This is what I heard. This is my life. I can't even make it to 40. Yeah. So it messed me up, man. It humbled me real quick.
Well, I bet so.
It humbled me real quick, man. I mean, it messed me up, man. So I tell this story to people, man, that wants to listen, and I'm like, it's real out here, man. Like, you can't take life, can't take it for granted.
Oh yeah. So let's get on the positive side. You get out and you start back training once they get you on the meds and whatnot, right?
Right. Once it was this guy, man. I'll never forget this guy, my doctor. They end up sending this MS specialist to the hospital. His name is Dr. Robert Baumhefner.
Okay.
That's how special he is. I know his name.
Right.
name. I just know she was Asian. She was an Asian lady. That's it. She was an Asian lady. But I know Dr. Robert Birmingham, he saved my life.
Right.
Seriously. Man saved my life. So he comes in, and he had this aura about him, and he had this swag, man. My God, man. He just had this different swag.
Mm-hmm.
And he started talking to me, and he started telling me his backstory. And the reason why MS is so personal to him is because his wife died from MS.
Right.
So that's when I found out, oh wow, you could die from this. Then I started doing my research. I found out Richard Pryor died from it. A lot of people don't know that. Richard Pryor actually died from multiple sclerosis.
Wow.
Yeah, you didn't know that, did you?
I did not.
See that? I'm educating you right now, my brother.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So yeah, Richard Pryor, he had multiple sclerosis and it killed him. Yeah, so I'm like, whoa, I ain't trying to die. But he was like, don't worry about it. We got a lot of, our medical side of it now is more advanced. So now we know how to treat it. And there's a lot of different types of medicines out there that we can treat this with. So he started trying me on all this different medication. I started with infusion. My body rejected infusion. Mm-hmm. Cyprine. My body rejected it. Then we went to Copaxone. But Copaxone was okay, but it's a little bit rough on my body. My body was like, that ain't gonna work. So then we went to this new one that we started, that we've been doing, and it's called Avonex. Now this is still, we're talking about months at a time. This wasn't no, okay, we'll do this time, next time, no. It was months at a time. That's why I was in there so long, man.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So they had to figure it out. And just like me. So here it is. I'm still in the hospital, and then, boom, we started on Avonex. Once I got to this new one called Avonex, it's an injection. Mm-hmm. You inject yourself once a week. And from the first couple of injections, I could feel my body, I'm like, okay. And then, another week go by, it just started working, man.
Okay.
I mean, by the grace of God, it started working, man. And my body started coming back, and then my vision started coming back to normal, So I was like, wow, I could see, it's just I could see one thing, and it was awesome, man, And my vision is still a little bit off, right now, but for the most part, if I look at you, I know I'm looking at you. I'm looking at one of you. So it's that's perfect for me.
Right. I understand.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So then I started getting up, and I was walking with assisted walker.
Right.
With like a walker.
Right.
So I was doing assisted walking, and after I went from assisted walking, then I went to a cane, then I went from a cane to walking with nothing.
Right.
I just wheeled myself back. I was like, this cannot be my life. As long as that medication was working, I was going to get it. Then I was able to walk around. I was walking in the house, just walking around. I would get up every day to go walk around the house, just go for a walk. I would walk for 5 minutes. Then that 5 minutes turned into 10 minutes. 10 minutes turned into 15, etc.
Right.
So I just wheel myself way back. And then when I get out of the hospital, I was the heaviest I've ever been in my life, of course, because I was on all these different steroids and stuff. Mm-hmm. So eating crappy food. So I was up to like 200 and let's say I was almost 300. Let's just put it there.
Wow.
Yeah, biggest I've ever been in my life. Yeah, man. So I was almost 300 pounds. And then, but the medication was cool. They were shipping it to my house. Every time I would get low, all I had to do was make a phone call. I'd get low, make a phone call, and ship it to my house, no problem.
Right.
I had to go pick it up, so it was cool. So medication, I still get my medication as of now.
Right.
So here now we are in November, towards November, the end of 2016.
Okay.
Like I said, 8 months done went by.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So here we are now. I go back to the gym in December of 2016. I go back to the gym and I just started touching the weight. Just touching the weights. Doing a little bit. I didn't want to overexert myself.
Right.
And in the gym, and I end up waking up in the ambulance, going to the emergency room. You know what I'm saying? So I end up passing out in the gym.
Wow.
Just in the gym. Can you imagine you being in the gym with somebody, they just fall out?
I'd be pretty scared. I ain't gonna lie.
I was that guy. I was that guy, for real. So then, go to the emergency room, boom, get back out. They let me back out, and they was like, you gotta take it easy, you gotta take it easy. I was like, fuck that, man.
Right.
Fuck that, I'm not taking it easy, it's me. Mm-hmm. So then I go back to the gym. And then as soon as I walk back in the gym, people looking at me like, what, you back? What are you back here for? Because a lot of people that was there, they remember me falling down the gym. Mm-hmm. He's like, why are you back? I was like, because I want to be, I just want to do me. Right. And they was like, yeah, just go home and see, people don't understand where I'm from. It's easy to give up, man. Right. It's easy to give up. I could have gave up and just said, accept it. I'm gonna be this 300-pound guy and just have multiple sclerosis and just give up on my life. But that's the easy way. Right. You know what I'm saying? So here it is, January, February. I train legs. I trained legs for the first time. And at the end of January. And I said, after I finished that leg day, it was no problem, no episode. I said, I'm going to compete again. Okay. I told people that I was going to compete again. February 2nd, I started my diet. Because I'm now, at this time now, I'm a registered dietitian. Mm-hmm. And I'm a registered nutritionist. So I know how to do my diets. I know how to do people diets and stuff. This is one of my specialties. Right. So I said, I'm going to learn. I'm going to do this diet, and I'm going to compete again. Mm-hmm. So I started my diet in February of 2016. Mm-hmm. No, 17. I was 17 now. Right. Yeah. I started in 2017, my diet. So 2017, I started my diet February. In August, I was back on stage. Okay. So let's chat it up right quick about bodybuilding, man. Let's get into some specifics. What specific category do you compete in bodybuilding? And what are the categories of bodybuilding? Yeah, I compete at that time. I competed as a light heavyweight. Okay. You gotta remember, I was like 296 when I started competing. Mm-hmm. When I started back, when I stepped on the scale in February 2nd. When I stepped on stage August 19th of 2017, so this is 7 months now. Right. This is 6 or 7 months of transition. I stepped on stage at 198 pounds. Wow. Yeah, man. So because my cutoff weight for that category is 199. So I could not weigh no more than 199. Right. So I came in at the top of the class at 198 pounds. Okay. So I went from 296 pounds to 198 competing though. I wasn't just losing weight. I was building muscle and cutting at the same time. So it's a different type of diet. Right. It's different. It ain't just focusing on the scale. Yeah, I gotta make weight. Cool, because of the category I'm gonna compete in. But because I was a light heavyweight, but I came in shredded. I was ready, man. Okay. I was ready. Yeah. All right. So in competitions like the Arnold and Mr. Olympia, you gotta be IBBF certified. Yes, you gotta be IFBB. Yeah, IFBB. And they still place you at certain, still to follow the same guidelines as weights, how much you need to weigh, etc. Now I compete as Classic Physique. Okay. So I get a little bit more weight now. So now my cutoff weight is 205. Okay. So I can't weigh no more than 205 stepping on stage. So you are IFBB certified? Right. Okay, good. What's the highest level of competition, or what's the biggest competition you ever competed in? The biggest one I've ever competed in was the Gold Coast Classic here in California. Okay. And that was a very, very big show. I also competed in the German Nationals in Germany. That was a very big show. But all of them are big shows though, pretty much. Right. I mean, it's no small show. All of them are pretty much big shows. They're all international shows.
So
You know,
how does somebody go from competing in a regional competition to a national or bigger show? Like, if I wanted to become IFBB certified, how would I
now
do it?
it's so crazy, and it's so now, man, it's crazy. This is how they do it now. You know, when I first started, it was a little bit more tough, but now it's kind of easy for new guys coming up. So, like, say for instance, if I was training you to compete, you do your first show. We would do a national show. We would do a national show because the thing is that you don't want to do regular regional shows. If it's not a national qualifying show,
Right.
then why do it? Now you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. So we would do a national qualifying show, which meaning that you would have to come in at your best physique. You can't come in playing around. So we would do a national qualifying show, and you would have to win your class. If you win your class, then you qualify for nationals.
Gotcha.
Once you qualify for nationals, and then you go and do nationals, and all you got to do is place the top 2 in your class in nationals. It's hard, but it's definitely achievable.
Okay.
If you look better than everybody, man, you're gonna win.
Right.
And the thing is that you don't know you don't know who's gonna compete, who you're gonna compete against. It's a national show, so you people from all over the world trying to do exactly what you're trying to do. It's become a pro. It's become an IFBB. So the biggest thing I tell everybody, if you do a national qualifying show, and you do well in this national qualifying show, and you qualify for nationals, the only person you need to compete against is the person that how you looked when you competed at the national. If you look better than that person, which is yourself,
right?
If you look better than that person, then it's obviously and you won. It's obviously you're gonna do very good at a national qualifying show.
Right.
I mean, at a national show. First, you gotta qualify for nationals. That's why it's called national qualifying show.
Gotcha.
Then once you get to nationals, and you look better than what you look like at your national qualifying show, then you're gonna be very competitive.
Right.
There, man.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Because the only person you need to compete against is you. So that's why we take a lot of pictures and stuff like that on the far show. So I know my last show, which was last year in June, and I won that show in June. That's last year.
Okay. What was the name of that one?
The name of that show, I would have to ask you. Can I ask you real quick?
Yeah. Go ahead.
But what's the name of that show in June? We competed at. Just gonna get it.
Okay.
But yeah. But my next show is supposed to be November.
Okay.
With all this coronavirus stuff going on, and
knows?
that show is in Miami. So.
Okay.
So hopefully, it was Southern California Championship.
Gotcha. All right.
That's it.
Well, Chris, we running short on time, man. Before I get you up out of here, man, what supplements are you taking to maintain the weight that you're at?
I take my own supplements. I got my own supplement company now, so
go ahead and plug it. Give us a plug, man. Drop it.
If anybody is looking for any type of supplements, any type of good quality supplements, all they gotta do is hit me up on my DM. Slide my DM and hit me up. My IG is Chris. That's all lowercase letters. It's Chris_D_MS. So that's all you gotta do is hit me up on there, and I would definitely get you the website. You can just go order from there.
All right, man. That sounds good to me. Hey,
yes, sir.
Chris, we definitely appreciate you coming on with us, man. You already dropped the Instagram handle, and you plugged your supplement company. And this has been another episode for the health of it. Chris, Jim Hill native, Jim Hill alumni. We appreciate you being here with us.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate the time, man. This is awesome, man. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.